staying with us here at CNN News 18. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Ridhima Bhatnagar. Just when we thought that it couldn't get any worse, new details that have now emerged from the Shraddha murder case will leave your stomach churning. It's not a Netflix series, but a real-life, gruesome, sick murder of a young life cut short by her own lover. Over the past 72 hours, the nation has been grappling with details of Shraddha's murder, who was killed by her live-in partner Aftab. He didn't end the story there. That's actually where it began. He chopped her body in 35 parts, disposed them piece by piece, and continued to live there as if nothing had happened. As police officials now try to piece the sequence of events together, time is running out. 6 months after the murder, will there still be enough to nail Aftab?
On May 18th, during one such fight that turns violent suddenly, this man loses his temper, and it was somewhere around between 8 to 10 p.m. that this man kind of attacks Shraddha and strangles her to death.
Yesterday, the team of Delhi police brought Aftab over here, and Aftab yesterday pointed out a few places that he claimed that he had thrown the body parts of Shraddha after killing her on May 18th.
I want to first begin by talking about the unanswered questions. As I said, time is running out. The first unanswered question is, and this is a very crucial one, that was it actually an accident? Was this in fit of rage? Or was it a well-planned murder? Because a lot of details that are now emerging suggest that this actually didn't happen in a fit of rage. The other big question is, will the recovered body parts still be in any state as far as forensic sampling is concerned? Because now we're understanding the murder took place in the month of May, which means 6 months earlier. They could possibly be in a really bad decomposed state. The other big question is there any chance of the murder weapon being recovered 6 months on? Can you actually believe anything that Aftab is telling us at this point? The other question is, did Aftab plan to kill Shraddha earlier as well, considering the fact that she had already raised concerns of him physically harassing and abusing her with her family and friends as well? And lastly, and this is very crucial again, did Aftab actually pull out this entire murder all by himself, or did he have support as well? Before I bring in my colleagues and our guests, we also now want to talk to you about the new revelations that have now come to light as far as the murder case is concerned. Now we're understanding after Aftab murdered Shraddha, then chopped her body in 35 different pieces and then put them in different locations, he actually even used Shraddha's banking app after killing her. We're getting some specific details as well, that he transferred almost 54,000 rupees from Shraddha's account to buy that refrigerator where he in fact stored Shraddha's body parts. We're also understanding Aftab spoke with Shraddha's friends from her various social media accounts. The idea was to create a sense of deception that Shraddha is still alive. He deceived even family members by using Shraddha's social media accounts. So the larger question that we are asking this evening is, as far as this gruesome murder case is concerned, do forensics hold the key today? Before I bring in our guests, I want to have a chat with my colleague Anvit, who in fact has been tracking all these developments for us. He's reported from the location of the crime. He's spoken to a lot of police officials on the ground as well. Anvit, we already now pretty much know what happened, how it happened. But the larger question is, what is the evidence to nail Aftab? Now time is running out. There's no denying that fact. As far as various teams that are working on the ground, have they made any headway?
See, gathering evidence is certainly one of the biggest challenges that Delhi police are facing because the case is more than 6 months old. The weapon that he had thrown away, the Shraddha's phone that he is claiming he had thrown away, all those transactions that he had made might still be traceable. But CCTV footage is one of the crucial aspects. No one usually nowhere CCTV footage are saved for 6 months. It's more usually a period of fortnight or maximum a month. That is one challenge the police are facing because they are not getting CCTV footage of that night when he is claiming that he used to step out of his house and dispose of the bodies in the jungle area. Also, technical analysis of laptop, this man's cell phone. These are some things that police have in their hand. But you very rightly mentioned, Rizma, because once the trial starts in that, some unanswered questions that you pointed out, they will be very crucial because based on that, court will decide the magnitude of sentence that this man will be awarded. Also, because see, when he had been initially saying that he had killed this woman in a fit of rage following an argument. Later on, it comes out that he was hiding certain fact that
Correct.
he had told that she had stepped out, but he had actually killed her, chopped her body into pieces. At the same time, he had been sleeping with some other woman. That has also come to fore.
Yeah.
Now, these things, if the court decides that whether this murder was planned in cold blood or was it a fit of rage, that will certainly affect the amount of sentence that he will be awarded. But much before that, police needs to file a watertight case. They need to have a strong charge sheet against that. And the only challenge police are facing right now to collect evidences, because so far what the police has is the confession which he has made in his statement. All those scientific facts need to be corroborated by a statement, and only then further investigation can be done in this
Okay. Anvit, quickly, I also want to understand what is the kind of evidence that the teams have picked up. You were bringing us some details that FSL teams were looking at some sort of blood stains as well. We got some CCTV footage of other items also being picked up.
Correct. So, as far as evidences are concerned, police have two main aspects in this. One is the on-ground evidences that FSL teams have visited the house where the incident took place. They have gone to the jungle area. Now, as far as forensic evidences are concerned, blood stains have been picked up from kitchen because there were some corners where apparently this man could not clean with acids and bleaches, and therefore some blood stains have been picked up by the FSL teams. They will be now tested in labs and will be checked with Shraddha's father sample. This will be a big breakthrough because if these are Shraddha's blood stains, then it means that Shraddha was present in that house. Also, the bones that have been collected, DNA sample will be extracted and they will also be matched with the father. Other than these evidences, there are technical evidences. Police will be looking at cell phones, CDRs, Bumble apps, and all other apps, shopping apps, and social media apps that Shraddha and this man had been using. Also, WhatsApp chats are very crucial because they'll find out who all was he in touch with, to find out, like you earlier also mentioned, that was there anyone else who had contributed into this conspiracy, or he was the lone conspirator.
Okay, Anvit, we leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Let me also now bring in our guest to take this conversation forward. We have forensic expert Dr. Mahabalesh Shetty. We also have former IPS officer and the former LG of Puducherry, Kiran Bedi. And we also have Dr. Chinu Agarwal, a senior psychologist. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us. Kiran ma'am, I'd like to begin the conversation with you. Even before we try and get some answers of what possibly went wrong, what are the lapses on various levels, and is there any hope of any evidence being left on the ground? But when you just read or heard about this case, what was the most disturbing aspect when you heard about the case?
Well, I'm not shocked anymore of these kind of brutal husbands. I'm not shocked in the sense because these kinds of dismembered bodies cases have happened in the recent past. Some of them have been convicted. So I'm not shocked. But what I'm very angry and dismayed is why are our girls continuing to accept domestic violence to be there? Why are they making homes their prisons? Why have they not got the courage to call out and foul, saying, why are they accepting the first Domestic Violence Act? Why are our educated girls so far maybe thinking that they've modern, liberated? No, why are they accepting? I'm angry at the way the parents are bringing up their daughters. Why are they not grooming them to be strong in life and tell them the realities of life as they come, saying these are the things which you will face, but you will not be a victim. Women will have to be groomed, girls will have to be groomed to be not victims of domestic violence. I'm angry. Why are our parents not grooming our girls to be strong? Why are our parents not grooming our boys to be responsible and not produce butchers of the kind this man. Why are there no sets of rules and regulations of conduct for the boys?
Sure.
Why are there not training grounds and schools, colleges, universities? Why are we not grooming our girls? Otherwise, how can we have half of the demographic dividend of India if the girls are not strong enough, enterprising, and calling foul, and not self-confident,
Yeah.
not conscious of the dignity, allow themselves to be disrespected
Yeah.
just because they want that home or that man who is womanizing or is alcoholic or is violent or is abusing
You're
and
raising
disrespectful.
you're
Why?
raising a
I
very
think that's
important
my
point, that was it just validation which made Shraddha continue to stay in a toxic relationship, considering the fact she'd already raised concerns with friends and family members. But I'll talk about all of that
not
in just a bit. Ma'am, I'll just talk about all of that in just a bit, because I just want to focus on the evidence of the case to try and understand, will we actually see a logical end to it? Because we've seen many cases like these in the past where time becomes, time is of essence. Dr. Shetty, I want to bring you in now because we've started to get more details. If we put a timeline in place, we're understanding the murder happened almost 6 months ago. So that gave enough time to Aftab to actually get rid of all the key evidence. We don't know if he'll ever find the murder weapon or not. There are some blood stains possibly that have been picked up by the FSL team. But do you think there'll be enough for investigating agencies to still work with something to nail Aftab?
Yeah, good evening, everybody, even the panelist. Madam, I myself been a prosecution witness in a similar case, almost 3 cases. Out of that, 2 cases have been convicted for life. It's a heinous, it's a rarest of the rare cases, the 35 pieces. I have seen 25 pieces, 20 pieces and all. So you are talking about 6 months. Once you get a piece, a small bone piece, that's more than enough for us, for a prosecution side to fix the person. Because as you told just now that they found pieces of, blood traces. The trace evidence is paramount in all this scientific evidence. Is a scientific evidence. So what happens is, the first thing foremost, the forensics serology people, they'll do a luminal test and check the whole house, and definitely there will be a stains of blood when you were left, and that stain and requiring of at least on 3 or 4 pieces of bone is paramount, and it is enough to nail this person. And I for one believe that the conviction is on the line. To add on, then the circumstantial evidence will start on, like where he bought the fridge, where he bought the weapon, and the recovery of the weapon is not that difficult. Even if he has thrown it in the sea, people have recorded it. Even in, I am from a coastal Karnataka, Mangalore. We have recovered weapon from the sea, river, and definitely he will reveal it to the police.
Okay, we'll really have to
6
see.
months is not too far, madam. Definitely DNA analysis is possible, because it is butchered, it is not burnt body. In burnt body, it is little difficult, but still it is possible to get DNA.
Okay, so that's a crucial point that you're making, that if this was a case where he had in fact burned the body, it would have been a very difficult case. But because it's only a butchered body, there is still hope that you could find these body parts. And if you recover the skull or the head, then there will be a big breakthrough as far as the investigating agencies are concerned.
Small 2 into 2 centimeters bone piece is enough.
Okay.
Forget about the skull or any part. One or 2 pieces of bone is more than enough.
Okay. And you already have the DNA sample of Shraddha's father, which is being taken, and both those samples can be matched then. Dr. Chinu Agarwal, yes. I want to bring you in the conversation as well. Over the last 72 hours, or even before that, when details started emerging as far as this case is concerned, people have been trying to grapple with it, that what really went in the mind of this murderer, this killer, who in fact was the lover, a partner of this girl, Shraddha. What describes the brutality that we've seen and these details that continue to emerge?
Yeah, so I have also heard many views and read many views. But what we have to look at is, there are 4 points suggested by research about concealment of their crime by murderers and killers like this. So we have to look at, 1, their personality traits. Did this person have certain personality traits since childhood or adolescence, or in his young adulthood, which can easily be ascertained by people who know him? Second is his self-control. we can easily see that he has been living in the same house where he murdered, in the same room, in fact, having his things also kept in the same refrigerator. So we can see there is a lot of self-control. Third is the level of his aggression. And if you're saying that it was in the moment of rage, we can see that the level of aggression might have been out of his own control at that moment or even before that. Because you are mentioning that Shraddha was telling other people that, she has suffered this kind of abuse even before that. And the fourth and the most important point is these kind of people, they have something called as SSCD, self-serving cognitive distortions.
Okay.
Where they only want to attach importance to their own thinking, their own feeling, what they think about things. And that is something that is a typical characteristic of these killers.
Okay.
When you ask them, when he will be investigated, he will be questioned and interrogated, he will always be saying things which are in his own favor.
Okay.
This is called as self-serving cognitive distortion. So
Yeah.
these are some of the
You were
things
saying
that
something that we've actually
look at
heard
in the-
even from the doctor who treated Aftab, who also pointed something similar, that he kept talking about himself, but what he also pointed out that he was extremely restless and aggressive as well. He quickly wanted to get done as far as stitches are concerned and then go back to whatever he was doing. But Kiran ma'am, I want to bring you back in the conversation. As a former IPS officer, we're trying to now understand what really happened, and can you really believe whatever Aftab is telling us today? Because with more details that are emerging, it doesn't look like that this happened in a moment of anger. It looked like he had planned it to great detail with a lot of meticulous planning. Does it look like that this was something that he had been planning for a long time now?
It looks like, so far, the information which is getting, though you and I are not investigating
Sure.
officers and do not have direct access to what's really going on, you and I are only conjecturing right now, and we are only saying what are the little bits and pieces coming. So therefore, I can't rush to conclusions, but all I can say is, as an investigating officer, everything he says has to be with a very heavy pinch of salt. And therefore, they will have to link whatever he says. Saying, lying, well, you will know if he's lying, but if he's giving you the leads, very welcome, because then recoveries will happen. And as one of your prosecutors said very rightly, even that drop of blood and that one piece of DNA linked body, I think is very good. And even recovery, as I've been saying, Section 27 of the Evidence Act, where the recovery is made by the accused pointing out, is a very valuable evidence, because that's not created. It has happened because of him. It's not an admission. It is a discovery. It's a recovery, and Evidence Act gives a lot of value to it. So I think whatever evidence they've collected so far is pretty good. And even the computer will give you all the story, the narrative of the case. I think it will turn out to be a well investigated, well resourced, well evidence-based case. I see it happening the right direction, because so far, whatever they record, even this doctor who said he had an injury on his cut on his, that same knife, forensics will explain, could that knife have caused this injury? It could be. So you could probably link the knife to the injury also. So it's a very good marvel of technological investigation.
I also want to understand, Kiran ma'am, because now we're trying to understand of what really went in the mind of this killer and what led him to go forward with this brutality, because he did not just murder his partner, he butchered her body and then disposed it off and continued to live his life. There was no change in his demeanor. So now do you think that he played on the vulnerabilities because he knew there were strained relationships with the family, he knew there were not too many friends, there were not too many colleagues at the workplace, and he could use those gaps to actually go forward with his plan?
If this is a question to me?
Yes, yes.
Is that a question to me?
Yes, Kiran ma'am, that question's for you.
Okay. I've seen in many murder cases, why do they kill identity? Why do the rapists want to kill and dispose of the body? Why? Only to avoid to be identified, number one. But in this case, I feel that there's so much going prior to that. which he wanted not to surface, and therefore he wanted to get rid of her. He wanted to get rid of her. I believe, I'm only conjecturing, as I said, I'm not claiming to be having any access to investigation. He had plenty to cover up. He wanted her to be out of the way. What was happening prior to the murder? What was becoming the major? What was she an obstacle to? Womenizing there? Was she crying foul? But she was not crying out in public. But there was something serious which was going on, that she was coming in the way of his promiscuous habits. I do not know. I'm just conjecturing.
Sure.
So I think he's actually punished her.
Dr. Shetty, going back as far as evidence is concerned, some of the details that are now emerging, and the reason I said it doesn't look like this was in a moment or a fit of rage, is that he was a chef. He knew how to cut meat. He knew the angles that would work, that would minimize the blood loss as well. He didn't dispose of the body in one place. He put them in different locations. What is going to be that key evidence that is going to be very crucial to nail this man? Because as of now, as we said, we're only working with the confession. What if he goes to the court and then completely changes that? So we can't really only rely, because that won't hold as far as court of law is concerned. What is going to be that crucial evidence that is going to be used to nail Aftab? And more importantly, does it also bring back memories of past cases that we've seen, like the infamous Tandoor case? Do you see a lot of similarities as far as the mind of the killer is concerned?
In this case, it is the DNA which will play a major role, DNA connection. Recoveries, whatever they can, again getting. So it's a forensics and the DNA which will help, not the brain mapping and not the liar test, for that the liar test which they got there. But that was only going to help them understand his mind. What's surfacing from the subconscious for him? What is surfacing from the bottom level? That will be a tool of investigation to find certain ways. But it's a technology, it's the DNA, and it's forensics, and the recoveries they make, and how do they connect him to the accused. The blood stain in the house is a very important link. What business? That links the girl with the house. That links with the girl with the house. And all the other clothing, whatever has been recovered, it links the girl with the house. The girl is already linked with him. The only thing is the fact that how is the mens rea? Why did he murder?
Yeah.
I think we've not been able to establish, yes, the mens rea. The fact of the murder is evident. But why did he do it is not clear. That the earlier narratives will tell. Pre-conduct and post-conduct will tell us who he is. What has he been doing before and after? That is how the narrative will come.
Dr. Shetty, that's the question that I was trying to get some answers to, because we still don't know as far as the motive of the murder is concerned. How crucial is that going to be to piece this entire event together?
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
Dr. Shetty.
No, for conviction, actually, motive, intention, execution, everything is required. But execution is already done here. Now the establishment of motive is he wants to get rid of this girl. That is the motive.
Okay, but that
first and foremost, the very fact that the girl is disappeared and she is no more, then the execution has been already done. Now, only thing left to the investigating officer is to identify, get the DNA sample and whatever connection, add-on connection, like where he bought the knife, where he got the fridge, where he disposed the body. Even one particular piece is enough. That motive is not that important here, because already execution has been done.
No. As far as forensic is concerned, I agree with your point that even if a small bone is recovered, that will be enough as far as forensic sampling is concerned. The reason that we keep talking about the motive is to try and understand the psyche of the killer. But just going back to the point that you were making earlier, Dr. Shetty, that even if a small bone is recovered, but what I'm trying to understand is, because it's been 6 months on, the body could have decomposed, the samples also could have decomposed. So will this still be in a position to be used as far as forensic sampling is concerned?
Definitely, madam. Definitely. 6-7 months is not at all it's not a great thing. Even 1 to 2 years, we can get precipitin test. We can, even a small piece of bone, we can tell whether it belongs to human or animal. And when it's sure that it's a human, we'll establish by forensic serology that send it for DNA analysis. That's enough. We do get, madam, even 2 years old case, we had one case and we have established DNA. Only in a burnt case, it will be little difficult.
Okay.
Not that it is not possible, but it is little difficult.
Okay. So it won't be that difficult even if it's found in a really decomposed state. Dr. Chinu Agarwal,
Definitely.
going back to the mindset of the killer and also why it became so difficult for Shraddha to leave this relationship, considering the fact she'd already raised concerns with her friends and family. What do you think happened there? You know, she already had strained relationships with her family. She didn't possibly have too many people to turn into. Do you think that became an issue that Aftab could, take advantage of?
Yeah, it seems that she came from a broken and dysfunctional family, and she was not in talking terms with her own parents. So she had sought safety in this guy. She thought that this is my safe place where I will be safe. But when this safety turned into a threat, she refused to believe it, maybe for a while. She could not gauge the danger that was lurking at her, and she kept on hoping that everything is going to become all right with him. Probably they have had more fights, multiple number of times before this final fight where she lost it, and she was hanging on to the hope that this guy is going to remain loyal and safe for her. But the relationship must have deteriorated, and he must have got the idea that this girl is now pressurizing me to commit and enter into a marriage, which I don't want to do.
Sure.
Because I just there are things like commitment phobia, or he might have developed interest in other girls,
Possible.
or maybe he just didn't like her anymore. It was a 3-year-old relationship, and it might be any reason of a fallout. So maybe she was hoping against hope till the last moment.
Okay. Kiran ma'am, I quickly want to come back to you and give you the final word as well. What I also want to understand, overall speaking, this is not the first time that we're seeing such a brutal case come to light. The Tandoor case, there was a similar case that happened a couple of years ago as well. Over the last couple of months also, we've seen, such cases come to light. What enables these killers or these murderers to go forward with such brutality? Is it, I don't know, possibly the lack of fear of law that we'll never get caught, or is it something else? Kiran ma'am? Kiran ma'am, can you hear us? Okay, we'll try and re-establish that connection. But Dr. Agarwal, if you'd want to take that question, that what is that enables these killers to go forward? Is it the lack of fear of law, or is it something else?
It is, they don't fear anything. They don't fear the consequences. They are absolutely disconnected with the consequences of their own acts. And that's why it is an antisocial personality, or the psychopath, which we call, because they have lack of empathy, they have lack of remorse, they do not bother about the consequences of their conduct or their behavior, and that's why such heinous crimes are committed. If they would have bothered, then they would not have resorted to such kind of brutality.
Okay. A lot of questions, as I said when I started this debate, that still remain unanswered. Only deeper investigation will help us understand what really happened. There is still hoping that there is closure and there is justice for Shraddha and her family. Unfortunately, I'll have to leave the conversation there. Kiran Bedi, Dr. Shetty and Dr. Agarwal, a pleasure speaking to all of you.